what's up, folks? So I wanted to show what it looks like now in the daytime. So this is midday now. The last video I made at night was basically midnight, and this is pretty much midday. So here is with it on. This is the Reshade Perfect that I shared on YouTube in the first video, and here it is in the daytime. I think it's really nice. It's really decent. And I will just show you, obviously with it off. Yuck. Super washed out. There's no consistency in the lighting, like whatsoever. It's nowhere near as nice. And then I did, of course, the other one, which I'll show, which is quite nice, but it's a little bit kind of dark. And even though the reds, oranges are quite nice, like I said, in Chemi, it's a little bit too much. I feel like in some places it can be a bit much, and I feel like the colors can be a little bit too much in some of the trees and stuff here. You might like it, it might look a lot different on your monitor. I also did create this new tweaked one, which I thought was quite better, but the thing is, this is midday and it's a little bit too dark for me. Obviously I can improve it and I can change it, but yeah, it's a bit dark for midday, and I haven't used this one yet at night. It might actually be way too dark, and probably will be way too dark at night. If this is how dark it is in the daytime, it's probably too dark at night. Obviously, there's quite a lot of cloud, and it does look quite cloudy, but yeah. But the one I'm going to show up, obviously, is this one. So this is the one that I want to show off. We go for a run through the village now. I think the colors and brightness here is really nice. Now you can really see the effect that the bloom has by kind of making these areas really paper white here. I'll just show you quickly by toggling the bloom off. So there it's off, now it's on, off again, on and off. And yeah, the bloom just brightens up the bright areas like just a lot more. Again, if you look here, so off, on, yeah, the shadows in here are really nice. So when you're properly in the kind of dark areas, it really does get dark, which is quite nice. It's not like overly dark, but it's still pretty dark. And you can still see the distinction between the really bright areas and the really dark areas. So if we go up here, I also think the colors are pretty neutral as well. Like they don't really, it doesn't kind of emphasize red, green, blue, like kind of really any color, whereas the Bloodspoiled and even the Bloodspoiled tweaked ones do emphasize them quite a bit. It does add a bit of saturation and vibrance to the colors, which I think is quite nice and has a bit of a nice thematic touch to it, but it doesn't kind of like overly change anything. But now I'll also show the original one I made first. So yeah, it's a fair bit more blurry in the distance. There's not as much clarity in the distance, I feel like. Just to give you an example again, so it's quite a bit more clarity in this one. As you can see in the distance, it just makes the game, I think, look a bit sharper, like in all respects. And then here's the tweaked one. So the tweaked one is, again, as I said, a bit darker. You still have this sort of interesting brightness in some areas. But yeah, it's also a lot harder to read the text on this one as well. But I'm going to share it anyway, just so you have options. You can decide to tweak these yourself. It's a good starting point, I think, a good reference point. But this is a bit too dark. I think I'm going to tweak it a bit more. And then here's back to the perfect one. It's really nice. I do honestly like how bright some areas are. It just feels more realistic. Like this is meant to be midday. It's meant to be quite sunny, as you can see. And again, if we sort of look here, it's yeah, you can see there's a bit too much of a distinction here. It's not like very natural brightness. This is even more. But then with this one, it's like the gradient is a lot more like natural, which I really like. You can sort of see the clouds in the distance. This is with it off. Everything just looks the same color. Like it literally, there's almost no distinction between the clouds. This is a lot more moody looking dark, kind of, oh, there's storm clouds now, not just regular old clouds, and this is not quite as bad. But I think this is quite nice because this, to me, I feel like is much more sort of realistic. But yeah, you can still see all of the fog and everything really clearly. It's a very clear, like kind of preset where the haze has really been kind of, I've really tried to sort of remove the haze, but still allow for like good HDR monitor like mine to have this really nice sort of white paper bright kind of, when you have the fog and the mist from the water, you know, you still have this kind of really nice bright areas. And the snow, once you're out of the fog, it looks like proper sort of snow color. Whereas you can see here, this is more blue, bluey sort of purple in the distance. This is like a lot sharper and a lot cleaner. You might like this, but then this is like definitely changed. And then this is a bit more, I think, like kind of realistic. It definitely still has this kind of moodiness to it though. If you think of if you look at the contrast, and then if we turn it off again, you know, it's just totally like, yeah, all over the place. So yeah, still moody, still really nice, but I still feel like this is really good. And I do like the fact that the areas that are lit up by torches, even though the torches don't have very realistic kind of light casting, it looks really, really good. Like I feel like it's much more realistic, you know. So yeah, but I quite like this one, and this is the one that I'm gonna roll with for all of my panorama videos and everything else. I don't think I'm really gonna make much changes to this. Like if I change something, I turn something up or down, it's just gonna look a lot different and a lot more weird at night as well. So this is probably about as best I feel like I can do. And the text is very readable as well, which I also really, really appreciate, because you've got to read a lot of these things. So yeah. Anyway, hope you guys enjoyed, and thanks for watching. See ya.